It's the Solar One Sci-Fi Podcast.
Hello and welcome to this week's monotonous episode 116. Firstly, before the drum roll starts, put that in.
I will.
The drum roll.
It's going.
Right.
Yes.
Right. I would like to congratulate my co-host for reaching 100,000 subscribers. I really do. I think it's amazing. I was buzzing when I saw it on Facebook. I would honestly, you deserve it, buddy. And here we go.
Thank you very much. When I set up the channel in,
I've not finished the intro yet.
Oh, sorry. Go. Please go on. Continue. Oh, shall I?
I'd just like to say congratulations to Mr. 100,000. So 100,000 light years away in the Delta Quadrant. I present to you my co-host, Michael Ball, aka Copeland. And how are you this week, my friend? And
I'm fine, thank you very much. Just to say that the Alpha Quadrant to the Delta Quadrant is only 70,000 light years.
Oh, don't shut the fuck up. Fuck off.
No, I'm very, very honoured to reach this milestone. I mean, when I set up this channel in 2007, the whole point of this channel was literally just to give people a laugh. And although we do sci-fi in this podcast, it is also to give people a laugh. It's very informal. It's just two mates who love our genre, and we just talk about this stuff every week. And that's what we did when we set it up in 2019, I think it was. Yeah, it was 3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years in November. So it's been staggering. So yeah, thank you very much. I've loved doing this, and I am really so pleased that so many people have actually enjoyed the channel. And also your channel, I mean, like I said, your channel is also a fantastic channel. Martin, well, not mine. By the Gods of Science Fiction, the new name, because I keep thinking of the old name. You know, your channel, I got to know you because of your channel through your reviews of Star Trek Continues. And of course, so we also had Vic Mignogna, very hard to say,
Vic
on episode
Mignogna.
100. So it's very strange that we came full circle, and I've loved all the stuff that you've done on your channel. You are a great knowledge of science fiction movies.
As you are, my
TV
brother.
shows.
As you are, my brother.
And this is why it's been so successful for us, because we have talked about so many things. And next week, I'm really dreading telling you this. I've done the graphic for it. And you might tell me to piss off if we review it next week. Can we review a film or a show about a guy who talks to his watch and he's involved with doing lots of turbo boosting?
Well, I thought we could do him the week after, because I thought next week we were going to do Klaatu Barada Nikto.
I tell you what, I would do it next week, but I've done the graphics. So I promise you the week after, I will do Klaatu Barada Nikto.
Oh, yeah.
It's the graphics. It's the graphics. But I promise, right? That's the deal, because
I'm watching out for you.
All right, so that's it. Next week, if you don't mind, Knight Rider, yes, David Hasselhoff, and then the week after we will do Klaatu Barada, because we saw it. I saw it on one of your Facebook posts recently, where you mentioned that. What was it called? Oh God, it's gone blank now. What's it called? Klaatu Barada Nikto.
The day the Earth.
No, that's it. Yeah, the day the Earth stood still.
Well, you suggested it.
I did. I mentioned it, but I mean, now it's kind of like, I love to do this because it's all being recorded and logged. Right, that is now officially the original, not the one with Keanu Reeves.
No, the original. The Michael Renner.
Yeah. But
Klaatu Barada Nikto.
And it appeared briefly in episode 1 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which I'll rewatch today by chance. So I'd like to give that a review. That's a great film. So 2 weeks time. But next week it's the guy with the talking car.
Do you know? I'm going. I've got to admit, I was a big fan of it when it first started.
Oh, it was so iconic.
It did get bad, didn't it?
Was it done by the same guy that did the Incredible Hulk? Which is probably a curse.
What, Glenn?
Glenn R. Larson, or whatever his name was.
Well, it's not. I mean, I was more of an Airwolf type of guy. I'd like to do Airwolf.
Oh, did you? No, I've not seen Airwolf in many a moon. I wouldn't mind doing that as well.
I'll tell you what I bought. I'll tell you what I bought. Blue Thunder.
Oh.
The TV series as well.
I know of it. I don't think I ever saw it. I'm aware of it.
Roy Scheider. I've got to admit, I really enjoyed it. Actually.
I like Roy Scheider. I remember he was in Sequest and stuff. So, yeah, all right. So, look, again, it's amazing because we know so many of these shows. We just start off and we're already planning 5 episodes ahead, which is quite incredible. So, we've got talking cars, special helicopters, and Klaatu Barada Nikto as well.
I just want to say, I mean, it did get cheesy, didn't it, when they took on Goliath? Do you remember when it?
I don't remember Goliath. I know the episode, but I remember.
Well, Goliath were like
what was
the
Goliath?
truck, wasn't it? Goliath were like the big truck it destroyed.
Oh,
kids.
was it a truck? I remember car.
Yeah, but the villain had plastic surgery to make himself look like Michael Knight because he was obsessed with him.
You know what? I'm going to watch that between this time next week, so I need to see that one again.
If you've got the Goliath episodes, could you drop me
them all?
Could you drop me the Goliath episode?
Yeah, I will.
Because I think that's where we need to focus.
All right, okay, right. Easy. Okay, between this time next week,
this villain is so in love with him, he makes himself look like Michael Knight, and he wears a John Travolta Saturday Night Fever suit and a cane. And it's him playing 2 parts. He's got a goatee.
Oh my God!
Terrible.
Do you know what? I've forgotten about it. But now that you're starting to talk about it, it's so incredible, whole kind of thing. It's like lovely. Yeah. There's a lovely American early '80s show. I love American '80s series.
I do. I like the '80s.
I love 18. Dukes of Hazzard. I love it all. I love all that era.
I can't stand it now. I can't. I can watch 1 or 2 episodes, but it gets on my nerves. I don't know. 18 gets very annoying. But I will say the film was good with film was good with Liam Neeson.
I didn't fancy that actually. It was like a remake.
I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
I've not seen that because I don't like most reboots, remakes of it. It often doesn't work. But
it works for that. It did work quite well.
And the Dukes of Hazzard had a reboot as well, didn't they? Had a remake as well. So yeah, all right. Well, look, we'll do Knight Rider because I completely forgot about the Goliath one. But all I remember very, very vaguely was David Hasselhoff with a goatee. So
wait till you watch that.
Yeah, I will watch that between this time next week, and because I saw the one with
fucking
Kits,
ridiculous. That's when I just switched off.
I remember that the actual the prototype, not Kit, it's called Car.
Oh, Car, yeah.
Eagle Rover. I remember that one, but I forgot all about Goliath. So I need to refresh my. So next week I've done all the graphics, and then the week after it will be the one with Klaatu Barada Nikto. Do you want us to go into the focus, or do you want to talk about a bit of news first of all? How do you want to do it?
I know that Orville's moving to Disney.
Now, okay, let's go on the news, and then let's not do a jingle. Let's just go into the news because let's just keep it informed. That's actually I consider that a very good news because I personally think that Hulu will be its dying death.
I know nothing about Hulu. I know nothing about it.
No, but it's obviously on there. It's been on Hulu, hasn't it, in America at the moment?
What is Hulu? Explain.
Hulu isn't it like a streaming site, isn't it, in America?
Is it like Netflix?
It's like another version of Amazon or Disney Plus. Right. But I've heard that now, as you just said, that apparently the Orville is going to Disney, which would be a really positive thing because if it's popular over there, then Disney, because they've got rights in all these different things, should have an influence of potentially making a 4th season of the Orville. So whether that happens or not, I don't know. But I consider that a very positive aspect of the actual show, it continuing, because I think that on the Hulu thing, it probably lead to its dying death, I would have thought. So I fingers crossed. Now, I want to say at this point, I was very saddened, and I saw this on one of your posts on Facebook the other day.
Oh, David Warner.
David Warner, and I just wanted to say I was a huge fan. I actually watched a David Warner film yesterday, which I've never seen before, called Nightwing. I think it's called Nightwing. It was late 70s vampire bat film that Dr. Freedom on YouTube, check out his channel as well for Doctor Who fans. He mentioned that, and I gave it a watch. And David Warner just excelled because it was set in like Arizona in America, and it was kind of like set on Native American reservations, and there was this these huge killer vampire bats who are going on this kind of breed. It was a bit of a cheesy movie, but David Warner was really, really good in the movie. And everything I've ever seen the actor in, apparently he was the nicest person you could ever possibly have met.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And everybody has been singing his praises. And I actually think in many ways he should have got a knighthood.
He should have got an Oscar.
Every single thing, yeah. Because everything I've seen in him, he excelled. Like John Hurt kind of feel. He had a John Hurt feel about him.
Yeah, it did.
And I am very sad because I will never forget him as Gul Madred. There
are 5 lights.
And in Titanic, and in Time Bandits, and in Time After Time. And Doctor Who with the 11th Doctor as well. He has been in everything. So I just wanted to say for anybody else who's
he will be remembered.
He'll be remembered with great.
Michael Sheard did quite similar, wasn't he? Mr. Bronson, he was sort of.
Yes, Michael Sheard was in
similar careers.
He was in Star Wars. He was in Doctor Who multiple times.
Yeah.
Grange Hill, Alvida St. Pet. He was one of those actors that you kind of never forget, and every time you see him, whatever role, he just stands out. And the same with David Warner. I was very sad about that.
I'm just thinking Time Bandits when that one of his assistants said, when he's the devil, he says, "But what are you going to do with the universe when you recreate?" He said, "Parrots. I'm getting rid of parrots, and we're going to have digital clocks and calculators."
Well, that's it. You've got to have a focus, haven't you? Yeah. I've not seen Time Bandits for a long time.
He's superb. He was superb in that.
So so this week we are dedicating this episode to.
You will be missed.
I can't remember the actor's name, but he was also Worf's brother, adopted brother in The Next Generation. He was in one of these mobster films. I can't remember his name. He died on the same day.
Savino.
Yeah, he died on the same day.
He died this week as well. Yeah.
So I just remember him predominantly for the Worf Rozhenko brother character. Nikolai, I think his name is Nikolai Rozhenko. So another great actor who's gone. Apparently he was also had a great prominent career and was well respected. So so it's been a week of saying commiserations to 2 great fine actors who will be sorely missed by a lot of people, but their legacies will remain. So so there we are. Any news your end? Actually, let's talk about the Star Trek news.
That's it, really. I mean,
we've got a few Star Trek things. We've got.
I saw what came out. Well, I was out most of the weekend, but when I was in Sunday, I finally got home. I've been full on over last week.
Yeah, okay.
And from this weekend, that's it. I'm free now. I've got time to do stuff. But I did catch up with. I didn't think a lot came out of San Diego this year, unless I've missed a lot of it. Okay, but I did see the Next Generation thing. Yeah.
Right. So let's talk about that first of all. So obviously they're all in leather, which was quite an interesting thing. They look more like they were members of Section 31 than Starfleet. What did you think of this weird leather-clad Starfleet crew, Next Generation?
I have to admit, it's nice. Right, firstly, it's nice to see them all back together, but I was more excited about seeing Worf than any.
Yeah, we talked about this. I think I sent you a message or a couple of links.
Yeah, I'm open. I'm quite. It's going to be nice to see him get a final run. I think this. I agree with you. This series is going to be a bloody masterpiece.
It looks good. I'm cautiously optimistic. Seven's going to be a commander apparently for Starship. Apparently,
I saw a picture of her in a uniform.
Yeah, she was in the commander's the new style, which looks like the Voyager uniforms, but sort of tweaked. Looks good. Apparently, we're going to see 2 Enterprises in this series. We're going to see apparently the Enterprise D saucer section is going to be recovered from Meridian 3. And they're going to be on the Enterprise D at some point. plus because they'll talk about walking on the carpets again. Plus, there's going to be another Enterprise, which will probably more likely be the Enterprise F, I would have thought. So we're going to see that. I think it's going to be a real. It sounds really positive, you know. So, but I'm not going to get my hopes up because, you know, it's very hit and miss with the new Star Treks. Talking about new Star Treks, you heard about the crossover between Star Trek Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds. I take it you heard about that?
Yeah, I'd heard about that. Yeah.
So they're going to be live action from the cartoon. Now, look, I have to say, now I've got a bit of a problem with animated stuff because I watched the animated or the CGI Star Wars series to get ready for The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and all that stuff, and I thought they were good, but I can't remember a thing about them. Once I've seen them once, they don't stick in my head. So with Lower Decks, I've seen Lower Decks. I can see it's really good. I can see it's a sort of like a thumbs up to Star Trek fans. But I just don't. It's not something which is my thing. I'm a live action sort of guy. The only animated series I will potentially watch occasionally is The Simpsons.
Is this going to be live action or animated?
It's going to be apparently. It's going to be a live action crossover.
So they're going to get a load of actors in to play the animated characters.
Two of the main characters are going to be seen in live action, which will be a time travel aspect because they're a century apart. Right. So I think it's good, but I would have much rather seen a crossover with Discovery or even Picard than Lower Decks. But that's just me. But it's good. I like series crossovers. I've always liked them, but it's a bit different when, to me at least, it's an animated series, which to me doesn't quite have the impact of the animated series don't have the impact of a live action series, shall we say.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about it? Are you bothered? Are you?
I'm not that bothered really. I don't think I wanted to see an animated version of it. You know.
That's what I'm.
Going to be interesting, but over the last 10 years, we've had the multiple universe cross of franchises and.
There's been a lot out there,
I'm sort of used to it now.
Yeah.
At one time it was a big thing, let's cross over with them, but they're doing it all the time now.
I remember the 90s crossovers because we had quite a lot. We had Bashir in an episode of Next Generation. We had the holographic Doctor's creator Zimmerman in DS9. We had Geordie as an older Geordie in Voyager. I loved all those, but I was a bit. I don't know. I wasn't so.
Well, they used to do it in the 70s, didn't they, with Barnett Man and Barnett Woman?
Yes. Yeah.
There were certain things that crossed over.
And I just
the Incredible Hulk. That never crossed over, really, did it?
And you're not that. Sad
there was a plan. I will say there was a plan to cross over the cheesy Spider-Man of the 70s with the Incredible Cheesy Hulk.
I remember you saying about that. It never happened.
Thankfully, Spider-Man got cancelled and it never happened. I'm sorry. I apologise. I did that. That was very below the belt.
No. You're entitled to.
I look at my washing line every morning and think of you.
And do you put a £5 note on the washing line?
I've been leaving a £5 note, and it's been disappearing.
It's a great series. It's not for everybody, but it's funny. It's funny because we like so many things, and most things we really click on.
Well, because of you, right, which I will blame you for, that on my recommended list, I keep getting clicked. I watched one the other day. No, I did. No, I'd say once every couple, I do watch clips. I watched one where he was in a dojo taking on these people with wooden swords, and he was throwing them about everywhere. And then he just ran off. He just ran off through the door.
Do you think the Marvel film version of The Incredible Hulk is better than the Bill Bixby?
I'm not going to say anything. Because you're my friend, and I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to.
Shall we move swiftly on?
Even though we've got a sand person like that behind you right now, it's... No, I'm not going to say anything. I think it's not right. No.
Fair enough. Well, look, that's fair enough. Now, the Orville is obviously coming to an end, as we say. So, you saw the one before.
Next week, the final
we've got 2 more. So, let me just ask generally, because I think we should do a review of season 3. How have you found season 3 compared to the first 2 seasons before we move on to our
question? That's a weird one, isn't it?
It's been a bit different, isn't it?
Oh, it's been totally different. I've got nothing but praise for this series. I've not watched last week's episode, so by tomorrow, I'm going to
be able to see it. Yeah.
I'm trying to get the reviews up as quick as possible. I'm going to get.
Oh, that's right. You've got a life. You've got things to do. You know, you've got to make.
But I will say, the last one I saw was absolute genius, and it was funny. The whole Kalon creation.
Oh yeah.
And I found that they were running that story in the background. And you had the feminist society, him, the engineer guy having it away with the security chick, she gets too excited,
bruising him up, exactly.
And the great scene was when he's in bed and his teeth are dropping out of his mouth. I couldn't stop laughing. He said, "I think now we need to have a small break." She's in bed crying next to him.
Yeah, because she's too. It's quite a bizarre kind of. I don't think it's ever done in science fiction where you're a character from a world with higher gravity, or higher gravity, so she's stronger, and so when it comes to a physical relationship, she's beating him up.
But the first one said that, didn't she? You remember her in the first season? She said she had issues dating men.
Do you know what? I'd forgotten that until you said. You were right. She did say that. I can't remember her name.
Well, I'm dating, but men are scared of me.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, I'd forgotten about that. That's good.
No, that's brilliant. I like the whole Kalon thing because it's when the president arrived for the family, and there was the thing with Charlie and that new Timothus, the one with the emotions.
Yeah.
And it was, and then we kept going back to this family and this robot, and then we went to this corporation on that planet saying they're all becoming self-aware. And chairman knew, he said, we'll just put these clamps in, it punishes them.
Yeah.
And it did show you the cruelty. There were that Kalon and them kids just switching it on and off and hurting him and all that. It was so vindictive. And it showed you that they were abusing a life form for their entertainment.
Yeah,
and all right, you can't justify the genocide, but what they did, what everybody were doing to them, because they were evolving. And you know, they asked for the freedom, and they said, "No, you're slaves." And it was sort of that Charlie sort of started to understand that. You know, I don't agree with what they're doing, Kalon.
No, but it's the actual
it was very clever.
Yeah, I agree.
Incredibly well put together. And the scene with the Doctor and Isaac, when finally she got that loving moment and he froze.
That's it. And then he lost the emotions again, didn't he? Very like Data. Yeah. Very much of Data.
I think he's got emotions anyway. I do. I think he has emotions.
But I think the aspect is he's learned emotions. He's learned them from an unemotional state. He's learned how to interact, and those interactions are causing his own emotions, rather than actually getting. It's very clever. You kind of look at the philosophical kind of ideas of who you are and whether emotion is based on intelligence or whether it is something which is inbred. I love that. This is something which science fiction does so well.
I think what he did, he experienced them for 5 minutes, but I think because the last 2 seasons,
now, although he's forgotten it, I think he will still imprint on that to a degree.
But in the last season, when the Kalons started attacking, he took their side and he thought it was wrong. Plus, there were episodes where he stuck up for their kids. Yeah, and he does care.
It's a very interesting thing.
He tried killing himself. So he tried terminating himself. That was the most that made him do that.
But do you think
it's growing? It's going to grow. It's going to grow.
But we've got 2 more episodes to go. So do you think that the actual season will be wrapped up potentially for the end of a series, or do you think it will be left open as if they were thinking that season 4 was going to be made?
If it's going to Disney, there's going to be season 4.
But when they made it, they might not have known it was going to Disney.
No, but they did say it depends on the fan reaction.
That reminds me, because the Stargate season 5, I think it was, when it finished, it didn't know it was going to get renewed, and it kind of finished on a sort of like a open thing with Skara coming back, and then it came back. Today is the 25th anniversary of Stargate SG-1 starting.
Well, Stargate had the dodgiest. It were moved around everywhere.
It was.
In the beginning, a lot of people thought it was. It was TNT, I think, had it, and then they got rid of it.
Yeah, there was Showtime.
Went somewhere, Showtime, that was it. And then it went over to Sci-Fi.
Yeah.
They got rid of it, and it went somewhere else.
It went all over the place, and it lasted 10 seasons. So I know we keep talking about it, but please, can we have an update? Make a new season of Stargate, for crying out loud. Yeah. Everything's bad. It needs it. There's a real void for it. So so the Orville, I'm very interested to see what happens in the next 2 weeks. I think personally, season 2 has been my favourite so far in compared to the 3 seasons. But
no, this one has been mine.
Yeah, fair enough. Like I said, but let's see. I mean, like I said, it's been a good.
I think there's gonna, if it's going to Disney, there's gonna be a 4th season. They're gonna find out it.
But that was only announced today. So
I thought Hulu would have had this as a flagship program. I can't. If it's a streaming network, I can't understand why Hulu would drop it then, and they'd go to Disney.
I mean, we talked about this earlier on. I don't know much about
it. It started at Fox, then to Hulu, now Disney.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we talked about this earlier on. I don't know much about Hulu as a streaming site.
I don't know
how they work. So I don't know how big they are, how much power they have in respect of the actual show itself with Seth MacFarlane. I don't know. But if Disney are involved, then that's going to give them a lot more potential stability for at least another season. So a bit like Amazon saving The Expanse when that was renewed after, I think, 3 seasons. It got renewed by Amazon, and before that it was going to go. So, fingers crossed. But then I know Seth MacFarlane's involved with some other shows now, so it might not happen. I don't know.
It's a shame. It's a shame.
And if it is its demise, it'll be COVID. It'll be COVID that ruined it, which is a great shame. Right, on that note, I think we should go into our focus of the week. Are you ready?
Yeah, that's no news from me.
No.
One thing. Is Andor starting next week?
Andor's not started until the 31st of August.
I thought it was on before 31st.
But next week is the new Predator, Prey. Predator Prey is out in about a week's time, apparently. So I've got to check that out.
Right, okay. Is that next week?
Yeah, it's about, I think it's like something like the 6th of August. I need to check it out, but it's about a week's time.
Before we move on, a lot didn't come out of San Diego, did it, this year?
What did we hear? What else I mean, obviously we've talked about some stuff already, but anything...
Well, I know there's been some Marvel stuff, but other stuff. There haven't been any big splashes of anything, have there, really?
Nothing major, nothing huge, no. There's a few things, like some other stuff, but nothing... Yeah.
Not like a few years ago where you were just...
They're talking about some new Star Trek series again. They're talking about two
with female leads.
But I mean, I don't think that the Section 31 series is going to happen for some reason. I don't think it is. I think it will be a Starfleet Academy series and a series set after Picard.
No, I think they've got that with that Prodigy.
Do you?
Yeah. I've not seen Prodigy, and I can't bother with it.
No, I can't either. I've seen the first few.
I've dropped out of the other one as well.
Lower Decks, this is what I'm saying. I mean, you're like me. I mean, I think they're fair enough if you like them. It's nothing against them. It's just not for me. I've tried them. I just find them instantly forgettable. And I'm really sorry because I'm a Star Trek fan, but I like live action. So if they're doing 2 new series, I assume that will be live action. And I don't know. Hopefully we'll get some
Section 31 should just be kept within the stories.
I'm not bothered about Section 31. I don't think it's strong enough to make its own series.
I just don't think it'll work.
The Academy series has been talked about for years, decades, since Harve Bennett in the 80s. So I've got a feeling that might happen, but who knows. Right, let's go into our focus of the week. Here we go.
It's the Solar Sci-Fi Focus of the Week.
All right, so this is a film which is from 1972. It features Bruce Dern, and it is a very, it's described as an environmentally themed American post-apocalyptic science fiction film. and it's the directorial debut of Douglas Trumbull and stars Bruce Dern. And that is, of course, Silent Running. Now, this is a film, before I ask you when you first encountered it, Martin, it's one of those films that I've always remembered seeing, but I can't remember the first time I saw it. And it is obviously a very positive aspect in acknowledging environmental dangers, pollution, things like that. And when I think about this film, I do think of it as a strong parallel as Soylent Green, which I think was made in a similar period. Okay, let's ask you, Martin, how did you come across this movie? Did you like it? Were you struck by it? Go on, how do you think about it?
When my parents divorced, I used to go stay at my dad's at weekend.
Right.
And when he wasn't going out with his many lady friends when I was there at the weekend, I stayed in. I remember staying in. It was on the BBC. It must have been its first time on the BBC, like a premiere.
Probably in the mid-70s. Then I would have thought that.
I'd say about 75 might have been.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
The cut used to come on telly
about 3 years after it was on the cinema. Would be on the BBC.
So I saw it. Well, I watched it with my dad. I was crying, and I loved the robots. And it was a sad film, but I was a kid. My dad sort of knew a message of it. I was a kid, and then I came across it in my teens, and I totally got what the film was about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it blew me away. And I have reviewed Silent Running, and I did a load of research into it, and what I found out blew me away.
Tell me what did you discover about it?
Well, the robots, there were paraplegics inside them.
I was wondering about the actors who played them, actually, because obviously
they
would be very, very
yeah.
small. Okay. And I know I think they had 3 actors involved with that.
They had three of them did it, yeah.
And I know that one of the robots was slightly bigger, and they had a sort of bottom bit, but I assume that one of the paraplegics was slightly larger.
If you go on YouTube, honestly, it's fascinating, because what happened was, I bought the special edition Blu-ray version.
Right.
I came across it in Computer Exchange, and there were 2 discs. And you got a booklet, and I watched all the extras on it, and I never knew. I watched the documentaries, and I was blown away by it. So this film means a lot to me. It's
very, very special film.
It's a highly intelligent film. I thought Bruce Dern
stole the movie. It's Bruce Dern's movie, and it's probably his career highlight. I saw him. I think
that's what broke him through. I know he did the westerns with John Wayne as like a villain in one film, but this made him star.
He was also in The Burbs, which also featured Carrie Fisher, but I only know him, apart from reading The Burbs, as being in Silent Running. I don't think he had a very prominent career. Obviously Laura Dern,
his sister, Jurassic Park. She's his daughter.
I assumed. I might be wrong.
I thought she was his sister.
I don't know. It could be his sister. I know that they're related. I assumed that Laura Dern was his sister, but you might be right. His daughter, rather. But he might be right. I don't know about that. I can't find out. But yeah, obviously they're related. So obviously, again, like Soylent Green, it has a great parallel on the potential pitfalls of irresponsibility of the planet. And in this film, for some reason, which I've never been quite sure why, they decided to have a number of relatively sized forests off the planet, completely isolated from Earth's dangers, I assume.
Well, it was a government-financed experiment with a corporation.
So it was like a scientific experiment, is what we're saying.
Yeah, because they wiped everything. Everybody were living in concrete buildings and.
Do you wish you'd seen a bit of the actual Earth itself to actually get some more?
It would have been nice to have seen.
That's one thing I think it might have needed, just 1 or 2 shots of Earth as like a concrete nightmare.
Yep.
Where there's not one tree, and it's literally just every single place is paving stones.
And that's all.
Not a tree.
It was all that was left. It was just technology. They were created. There were no. What did he say? There were no soul or life.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
And obviously the paraplegic actors. I didn't know that actually. That's quite interesting because when I was growing up,
you should watch the documentaries. They're on YouTube.
For some reason, I thought it was children who were playing the actual.
No, I did.
But
I did
because they were so tiny but the actors who played Huey, Louie, and Dewey, they played them very, very well.
Yeah,
very well visualized in the actual film, and I think that's one of the aspects were the robots. It gave the film something unique. And again, it was Bruce Dern's character as someone who was so kind of like he knew what was going on in the world, and there was these characters on the ship who just couldn't give a shit. Basically, they were driving around these electric buggy things around the greenhouses, and of course, eventually he kills them off, and then he decides to go it alone. I think it's around Saturn, isn't it? I think Saturn was the planet that was nearby.
Well, I think they blew the other two ships up. They were ordered to destroy them and return to Earth.
Well, in the end, they had some idea to completely quit the whole idea, the whole experiment, and just to go home. And of course, Bruce Dern, he couldn't sacrifice what he created.
Yeah, because they were near Jupiter, weren't they? And because of the gravity wells and.
Yeah, I think it was Saturn or Jupiter. I think it was Saturn, but yeah, it was around that sort of the gas giants of the solar system.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I suppose I have to ask. I mean, do you think it still stands up well today? Is it?
I do. Yeah. I think the message like Soylent Green. I mean,
there is a parallel.
The message is that because we could end up like that.
And I think in many ways both films have more of a significance in 2022 compared to 1972. Because I mean, obviously that means that Solomon is 50 years old this year, and that's what we've done to the planet. I'm not going to go on about the ecology because people don't want to hear that, but it does show how mistakes could be made, and in some ways since then have been made.
Well, they were just
it makes it more poignant.
I mean, they didn't give a shit, did the rest of the crew?
No, they couldn't give a
shit. I mean, they drove them buggies over plants.
On the plants.
Didn't mean shit to them, did it?
No, they couldn't care less.
And it is annoying. I mean, we're getting enough. When I watched it the other year, when I reviewed it, when I sat down, I put it on.
Yeah, I watched it last week.
And the music, like the opening soundtrack, is really quite powerful.
Very, very powerful. Yeah, very poignant.
And when they were driving all over plants and just kicking, and he were there all passionate about it. I was getting very annoyed with them. I was getting. They were infuriated.
Well, obviously that was the whole point, and it works very well. It works very well.
Yeah.
It does work well.
And I thought his character, I found his character fascinating because he was so beyond them. Yeah. And all they cared about was just they were just getting paid for this. It was
just a job. It was a job.
Yeah, but then again, you can't blame them because they were probably brought up in a world without all that. What I mean? Is that thing? If they brought up without all that, then they don't know about the beauty of it, do they? Yeah.
I'm not going to dwell on it, but it's like where I live, where some of my locals, you can tell that they're in a place where they've lived here their whole lives, and I've lived in different places, and I've seen seen things, and I know things I like and things I dislike. But you get people who are born into environments where they don't know any different. That's a very sort of poignant point of the film. I mean, and I think that's one of its strengths, actually, and I think that's what makes it so memorable. I mean,
because in some ways you can't blame them. All right, I know it's wrong what they're doing, but if they've got no concept of it, I mean, they should know better, but they didn't. The question is it their fault?
No, but people often just don't know. I don't mean to sound critical, but a lot of
tell me.
A lot of people just don't have a clue in life, and they just go around, and a lot of people just don't seem to get the bigger picture, and that is the worrying aspect about humanity. Because people like you and I will probably get it. Because I think to appreciate science fiction, you have to have a certain awareness of things in the world, which science fiction is something which teaches you awareness in so many different capacities.
I'm not a guard. Like my parents were sort of into it out.
Yeah.
We had a garden. We had a big garden. We had a semi-big garden. They were looked after. I mean, I used to mow it for them.
Sure.
But that was it. I mean, but it's like I I'm not good at gardening. I think people have a talent for it now, but the thing is, like where I live, there's a big park. I like to go in there. I like to sit with the trees.
I get a nice
I like
vibe
to sit by water.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
I like the ocean.
I
like all
nature
because
I like nature.
There's a connection. We're connected to it. And we need it, you know. Luckily,
but a lot of people don't.
We have a private garden here.
A lot of people don't. I appreciate that. You and I, obviously, from what I've gathered, you know, I know that nature to me is an important factor. I hate our environment where my road is particularly. It's quite a densely populated area, lots of houses, not many trees, lots of paving stone, concrete, and things like that. And I personally, I like just to go away, get in the car, go to 100 Acre Woods or something, and have a little picnic and just sit under a tree and listen to the birds singing. That's important to me.
I went to a film fair on Saturday. I'd never been to it before, and it was in a square in London. We have these squares in London, and it was a beautiful morning. It was about 9:30. I popped down there. It didn't start at about 10:30 or something. I was meeting some friends. And I got there an hour before them, a beautiful square full of trees and plants, stunning square. And it had houses around it and this big hall where they had this thing. And I sat in there and there were birds in there and all that. And there were no noise. And this were in Holborn, in Central.
Yeah, that's surprising in that part of the
there were no noise. And I sat in this square and I had a coffee. And I was there for an hour. And I appreciated where I was.
Yeah, I get that every time I go to either forest or the sea.
So simple.
Yeah,
it was so simple.
It's the simplicity of it, which is so. Yeah. There's no people shouting. There's no car horns or car sounds. It's just nature, and it's the world. It's the sky or trees. Yep. And to me, I love that. It's
that's
funny,
what this film is about.
Yeah, that's why I think that's why it still stands out, because
it's important.
You appreciate nature and how important it is, and to appreciate it and enjoy it when you can. A lot of people just don't see it. They just don't get it, and they just want to have like you know, some of my neighbours, they got rid of all their gardens with regards to trees, and they've got just literally concrete or plastic grass, and to me, I like the nature interaction, like foxes and robins and birds and butter. I know it sounds a bit cheesy, but I like nature. I mean, we've got a tree in our garden, we've got nature, and also representing the different seasons. And a lot of people, they don't care. They'd rather have just plastic grass and stuff. And it's again, it's down to the individual. I do appreciate that, but for me, it resonates to me with the fact that although I like technology, I also like nature and its innocence and its natural.
Do you know, there's one part, when I go to Eastbourne, like in the summer, like you go to the front in the summer between 5 and 9 o'clock, and you just sit on the front. They've got this path just before the pebbled beach,
right?
And you sit there and have a coffee or something. You sit there for about 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
Just sit there,
and you just feel this calmness, don't you?
And everybody's calm. They're either skating down this path or they're walking, and everybody says hello to you. But in the background, you've got the breeze and the ocean. And do you know something? It costs nothing, that. And that, when you go back to where you live in the big city, it de-stresses you. It takes it all out of you. You know, and that's what this film is about.
The thing is, where I am, it's interesting for me because I live in Portsmouth, UK, and it's a very heavily populated city.
Yeah.
And I talked to a friend at work recently about this, and he said that one of the main benefits of living here is that you can drive down and look at the sea. Yeah. And you can just literally get out of the van or get out of the car, walk up to the beach, and you're there. You can sit down there, you can hear the waves, you can hear the seagulls. And you can just feel so calm, and so it's something about the same with, like I said, with woodlands, forests. To me, obviously, I didn't realise about you, but it sounds like what I've discovered with you today is that you feel the same way. A serenity of that environment, either sea or woodlands or forests. to me is very important. I love
we need it. We need it, and he's telling you in that film we need.
And which is going back to the film, which is what makes the film.
I've got a friend. He's got he's obsessed gardener, which I want to be around.
I'm not into gardening too much, but yeah.
But he is, and he's grown. His garden is like a garden of Eden. Honestly, he grows everything.
So he knows exactly what he's doing.
But he knows what he's doing, and I admire him for it. But when I go around, he's got a nice little table in his garden. And you sit outside, do you know something? In that little paradise he's created for himself. It's amazing. And he shows me his tomatoes. And he's right proud. He's grown them himself. You know, he grows everything. And not just in the summer, it's stuff that grows.
Yeah, well, you can work out round. All year round stuff you can focus
on.
And
you know, he knows what he's doing. And I said to him, I can't. You know,
I'm not very good at it.
I wish I could.
I know I'm not very good at it myself.
But I can't get into it. I've tried. You know,
I mean, we always grow sunflowers for some reason in our garden. Yeah. But most stuff I don't grow. I just forget about it. And it's a shame. It's just, I like nature, but I'm not very good at nurturing nature, if that's the correct term.
But he is.
But I do appreciate people who like that. Because you have a certain way of thinking. You know what
I admire him for it. Because, like, when Bruce Dern is putting plants, flowers into that garden and the care, and he's putting the roots, and he really gets into it, doesn't he? Yeah. And you are creating life. You're looking after something. You're growing it. And I think it's more. I think you get the achievement of it.
I think you get almost like a symbiotic feeling towards.
I think it's in a what it's reward.
It's something about you.
It's a reward.
You get something from it to see stuff which is grown.
And them other crew members didn't have that.
No.
And that was
that's what I'm saying.
Beauty of the
that's
film.
The clever thing that a lot of people just don't get it. They just like, but what do I want that for? I want plastic glass. I want a plastic shed. But people like you and me, even if we're not the masters of growing stuff, we can appreciate it. And I think that to me is. But I mean, going back to the film, I do think it was. I mean, I did a 3D. I've shown this. I 3D printed this a while ago. But it's my own way. It's Stewie. It's not Huey, Louie, and Dewey. And I painted it purple. And I did this a while ago. It's not perfect, but it's quite fun. But you know, I've always loved this film.
Did you find that when I was a kid? Obviously, I loved the robots, but when I got older and I saw it, like, you know, now, did you not find that each one of the robots sort of had a personality?
Yeah, well, one of them we lost.
There was something about them.
We had the bigger one and the really small one, and of course, in the end, it was the really small one is the one that survived. But I think that one of the strengths of the movie is actually those three little robots. Yeah. And they don't talk, they just make a few sort of beeping noises. A bit like R2-D2.
Didn't one of them get sucked into outer space?
Yeah, one of them, I can't remember Huey and Dewey, but one of them does end up being sucked outside of a space anomaly or something. And we have two left. And then, I don't know what happened to the second one. I'm not sure. But I think one of them loses it's one of its arms. But I don't know how it dies. But there's just one at the end. The really small one is the one that survives at the end. I should know that. I've only just seen it, but I can't remember.
I thought the end of the film was beautiful.
Well, we've got the watering can.
Yeah, and the domes when they got blew off the ship.
And also, did you know those dome ships were reused in Battlestar Galactica?
I was just about to. And the sets.
Yes.
And the sets as well.
Oh, I didn't know the set was reused.
Yeah, the sets, because on the documentary, and some of them set it, you know that inside, like, because in Battlestar Galactica we count Iblis.
We saw them in the garden.
It's the same set.
Yeah, now I'm thinking about it.
And apparently that was all filmed on some abandoned aircraft carrier.
Really? Because it would have been a few years later. Because
they used them sets and then
they kept them somewhere for a few years.
Loads of stuff. Yeah.
Because it was a few years later that Battlestar Galactica was made. It was like 1977.
And they've been used in other stuff as well. And the set.
I was going to say, I think they did a CGI version of the ships as well for the new Battlestar. So it was kind of like immortalized even in the new show, even though it wasn't the original. They kind of kept it. They kept all the old ships from the original Battlestar.
But that set, they did use that a lot in the 70s and early 80s in stuff. And them ships, I've seen them in other stuff as well. You know, So,
I mean, again, it's one of those films, a bit like Soylent Green. Should it be remade? I think it could.
No.
Well, do no, you don't.
Do you think it should be remade?
I think that given how nature is and the environment is, especially with global warming, more poignant than say 50 years ago. I wouldn't mind seeing an attempt at being made, whether it's successful or not.
It'd have to be different. I agree. I think we'd have to say Earth.
I think that's the one thing which I wouldn't have minded, just seeing a couple of scenes of Earth as a concrete nightmare.
Yeah, there was a film.
Only thing that I need to say.
There was a film similar to this, but it was about food production, Saturn III.
Oh, is that the one with Kirk Douglas?
Kirk Douglas.
I've seen that, and the blonde one.
And the weird robot thing. Well,
that was good. I like that film.
When she leaves, because there's like, it's the same situation. The planet up. When she goes to Earth, you see Earth and it's all black.
Oh, we got to review that.
You see,
from
what I remember,
I've got a copy of that. I've got a copy of that. If you want me to,
superb, but definitely, I would love to review that.
Yeah, Saturn III. Let's put that on the list.
Movie.
Yeah, put that on the list.
They're on that moon trying to create a new form of food to feed everybody back at home.
Oh God!
And you see Earth.
Do you know what?
You see Earth.
This is what I love about this podcast, because you remind me of things which I forget and links up. That's brilliant. Saturn III, put that on the list. Absolutely.
A lot of people were saying that sort of.
No, that was a great film.
Yeah. But it was a similar thing.
It was a similar thing.
They were creating food
because
everybody on Earth took drugs and they all lived on this like. You see Earth, it's like a different colour
because of pollution. Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah,
it reminds me of the episode of the Star Trek original series where they go to the planet and they're on the Enterprise, but it's not the Enterprise, it's a replica. And occasionally you look through the windows, and you look through the windows, all you can see is huge crowds of people looking through.
Yeah.
Where the planet is so overpopulated.
That freaked me out.
They're trying to generate a germ to kill off the people. I love that.
Yeah, and they all want, because none of them can die, can they?
No, and they're trying to.
Why didn't they just build fucking spaceships and go to other fucking planets?
Maybe they can't do warp drive. Maybe they're too primitive. Maybe they can only do like.
Really?
Or maybe there's not many planets on that solar system they could go to. You got to think about that. But that's brilliant. Anyway, Martin, I love it. Honestly, Saturn III, no one is on the list. But
all right, so Knight Rider next week, Klaatu Barada next week after,
and then Saturn III. Yeah, that's it. That's the schedule for now. Brilliant. That's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that in about 20 years.
No, I've got a copy of it. I'll let it to you.
So would appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll let you have that watch, because that's well worth a watch. And what's the blonde actress now? I can't remember her name. Heather Locklear?
No, Farrah Fawcett.
That's it, Farrah Fawcett, because I know she was in.
Was it Harvey Keitel who played that weird? I think it might have been Harvey Keitel. I think.
I know Kirk Douglas
that weird one that turned up.
I have to give it a rewatch. I'll rewatch it before in a 2 or 3 weeks' time when we do it. But
yeah, because all I remember is that I remember her going back to Earth, and it looked awful. And then there was that robot running around with that guy's head on it.
Yes, all I remember is the robot and Farrah Fawcett. That's all I remember. I know Kirk Douglas is in it, but I can't remember what his role was in it. But all right, let's put that on the list. All right, Martin. Well, thank you for that. I suppose out of 10, what would you rate it? Let's give it a rating now.
Since I've enjoyed this so much, I'm going to give it a 10.
Yeah, I'll give it. I never give a 10. I never give a 10, so I'll give it 9.5.
Yeah, I feel very. It's a powerful film. That film's up there with 2001 and several other massive classics from that era.
I saw a review of that. The guy who does I can't remember his name. Radio reviewer. I can't remember his name. Mark Commode.
Oh, Mark Commode, yeah.
And he was actually he was just talking exactly what you said about the fact that at the time he was paralleling 2001: A Space Odyssey and this film, and he was just saying how he says that this film is one of his favorites of all time, even though 2001 is also considered a sci-fi classic. It's just one of those films that kind of stands out.
Have we done Outland with Sean Connery?
I was thinking about that when you brought up the film with Kirk Douglas. That's another
I'd
similar
like
film.
to do that.
Let's put that on the list as well, because that's another one I've got as well. I've got all these films.
Yeah, I've got Outland.
Outland's good as well.
Bloody good
yeah,
film.
Sean Connery as well. So, yeah, that's what I like about the show.
So, shall we do Outland after Saturn 3 then?
Yeah, put it on the list.
Right,
I wouldn't mind fitting in going back to a Doctor Who episode soon. I'd like to do the 8th Doctor soon, but we'll definitely.
Yeah, all right.
Let's. I mean, and that's it. We've got the next week. I mean, I have to get on Photoshop work, but that's fine. I like doing it. Yeah, Outlands. Well, that's another good one. So yeah, brilliant film. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I rated 9.5. And like I said, it gives you a message. And of course, I think what's poignant is that it's 50 years on since that was made, and how humanity has done some pros and cons since then. And we are trying to make the best. And I like that. And Soylent Green had the same potential as aspects as well. And both those films are films I've never forgotten and I'll always enjoy in future replays, I guess. All right, Martin, so let's leave with the outro, the Doctor Who outro I created. Next week, like I said, we're going to be doing Knight Rider, where we can talk to our watches and everything like that. Like that. So good cheesy 80s fun. And until then, we will see you on the Solar One Sci-Fi podcast. Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.